Hey everyone, so in this tutorial what we're going to talk about is using sidechain mixers to duck the volume of our music based on a voiceover or something like that. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a new project in Unity, and I'm going to put it on the desktop, and I'm going to call it Music Ducking Example. And I'm going to start this basically from scratch and teach you guys how to do this. We're going to use the audio mixers. First thing that we're going to do is create a small world that we can walk around in. So I'm going to first create a 3D object, which is a plane, so I can walk around on that. And then I'm going to make it large enough for me to kind of walk around on. Then I'm going to import some assets. So I'm going to import the package that's called characters. And this is going to take a minute or two to do. I'm going to import the entire asset package. Now, while it's doing this, I'm going to kind of explain what ducking is. Ducking is the ability for music to turn down in volume when the voiceover comes on. So many games use this so that the music doesn't overpower the voiceover. So the voiceover comes on or the dialogue comes on, and then the music automatically is turned down a little bit. And that's kind of what we want to do in this project. So when I go to the project menu, we'll see that it's imported a folder called Standard Assets. By the way, there's this little slider over here that I can adjust the size. I love to keep it on the smallest version so I can see the entire title. Standard Assets, then I want characters, first person character, prefabs, first person controller. I'll put that out on the stage, and I'll get rid of my old main camera because the new one comes with the camera. So I'm going to go ahead and delete that. I'm going to hit save so I can save my scene, and I'll call this level 1 and test it. So I'll hit play, and I'm walking around, and eventually, whoa, okay, I'll fall off. Okay, so that's cool. Now what I need is we need to create some mixer objects. So go to the audio mixer, create a main mixer, just call this main mixer. And within my main mixer, I want several groups. One of those groups will be music. Another group, which I'm going to attach to the master, is dialogue. And the third one that I'll attach, and by the way, I'm going to do this next one wrong. On dialogue, I'll attach sound effects. And you can see that I've actually attached it to the wrong channel. What I can do is actually drag it onto the master, and so now it's equal level to music and dialogue in terms of both of those are feeding the master fader. And all that's working pretty well. Now in my game itself, I have to put a few objects in to play the music that I have and the dialogue that I have. So I'm just going to put an object in the world that's going to do that. And this is mainly so I can see where the music is coming from. I can create an empty object too, which doesn't actually, I won't be able to see in the world, which is useful. But sometimes I want to see where it is. So I'm just going to create a general cube like so. And that's my cube. And then I want to add a couple components to that. One, I want to add an audio source that will be the audio source for my music. And so I'll set the output of that audio source to my music channel. And I need another audio source. By the way, I'm leaving it in 2D, which means that it is extra diegetic, means that it won't spatialize the sound. When I turn the character, the location of that sound won't move. It will stay in the stereo spectrum without moving or attenuating as I back away from it, so it won't do those things. I'll also create I'll add one more component, which is the audio source, and I'll make sure this one is assigned to my dialogue, because that's where I'm going to put the dialogue. All right, again, I'm going to save, then go to my desktop, and I have my Unity project folder here. I have some resources, I have a music file, and I have a voiceover file. I'm going to drag those into my assets folder. And so basically I just have those two WAV files there. When I go back into Unity, what it's going to do is it's going to say, oh, wait a second, you got files that you just imported. Let me make temporary compressed files out of those. And if I go to my music file, you can see here that it's basically made it into a Vorbis file at 100, quality 100. And it's rendered that file on disk. That's what took a little bit of that spinning ball that we just saw. So I go back to my cube. I'm going to say, all right, well, this one is going to the music, so I want to make sure the music is going there. And then later, here on the second audio source, I want to make sure that the audio clip that is playing is the voiceover. Okay. I'm going to select Audio Mixer here so we can see the levels bounce up and down. Hit play.
When I wrote the following pages, or rather the bulk of them, I lived alone in the woods, a mile from any neighbor.
Okay, so that's working really well. Now we'll want to add that ducking component. The music isn't really too loud at this point. It's probably in good shape against the dialogue, but let's say, for instance, we want to turn it down. We want to make sure when that dialogue comes in, the music actually ducks underneath it. So what we want to do is we want to actually add in a compressor. And there are different ways to do this, but we're going to say there's a special plugin called Duck Volume. We're going to use the Duck Volume command. So we're ducking the volume. Now, you can see when I add the duck volume onto that music channel, it says no send sources are connected. Well, that's because we want the dialogue to send to the music to basically say, when the dialogue is on, I want the music to be ducking below it. So we go to the dialogue track, and what we want to do is we want to add in a send here. So you can see when I look down the plugin list, there is a send. And I can send it to Music Duck Volume, which is the plugin on my other track. And then I have to adjust the send level. I'm going to send it at 0 dB, like that. So full volume, basically. And then I go back to my music channel, and then I can start adjusting it. So when I start playing it,
when I wrote the following pages, or rather the bulk of them,
you can see
I lived alone in the woods.
The dialogue is actually
in a house
going
which I had built
into
myself on the shore of Walden Pond.
Of the music channel.
I went to the Massachusetts because I wished to live deliberately. Earned my living by the labor.
Okay, so now what I want to do is the threshold's too high. I want to make the threshold lower because right now nothing's happening. If the threshold is like, I'm going to set it really low, that means when the dialogue reaches minus 46 dBs, it's going to start turning down the music. And I'm going to have it turned down like a lot, so we definitely can hear the volume being compressed. I'm going to leave the attack and the attack and release time the same, but let's listen to what that sounds like.
When I wrote the following pages, or rather the bulk of them, I lived alone in the woods, a mile from any neighbor, in a house which I had built myself, on the shore of Walden.
So you're basically hearing whenever the dialogue is playing, it's really lowering the volume of the music. And then every time the dialogue stops, it starts coming up. And you can actually see that in the duck volume plugin that we have over here. And then you can adjust the settings based on that. This is really common in games, and I highly suggest you use it so that no one is missing out on your dialogue if your music is too loud. Anyways, hope you enjoyed the tutorial. Good luck.